Boker Tov, good morning. We continue with our 3-minute daily dose of Torah. This week, looking at Parshat Yitro and the receiving of the Torah. And that's where we find ourselves in chapter 19 of Shemot. And we're looking at Pasuk Daled, Pasuk Hey. Va'ata, God says to Moshe, and for Moshe to convey to the Bnei Yisrael, Im at be'ata and now, im shamoa tishmeu v'koli, if you shall hearken, O hearken to my voice. Ushimartem et briti, and you shall observe my covenant. V'hiyitem li skula mikol ha'amim, and you shall be for me as a treasure from all the nations, ki lichol ha'aretz, because all the land is mine. Let's start with the first part of that pasuk. And here the Torah says again, if you hearken to my voice and observe my covenant. What covenant are we talking about? Says Ramban, Habrit asher karati tavoteichem. The covenant is actually the ancient one that God created with our ancestors, with Avraham. Lihiyot lahem lelohim ulzaram acharehem, to be to them as a God, and for their descendants afterwards. That covenant, which happens in chapter 17, the Ramban says that's what God has put forward. Is if you keep that covenant, where you make me your God, and serve and present yourself and commit yourself as my people, then I will indeed be your God. Right? Says the Ibn Ezra and others, Avraham Amar, Habrit Shichrot Moshe Yisrael Chamatan Torah. The references to the covenant that will happen with Israel after the giving of the Torah. Kamoshe Amar, Hine Dam Habrit, in Sefer Parshat Mishpatim, there you find there is a covenant that happens on the morrow, some point of the revelation itself. And others as well will read it along these lines. To quote the Seforno, the covenant which I shall create on your accepting of the Torah. That is what we have. Says Rashi, the covenant which I will create with you on the observance of the Torah. So, which covenant do we have to commit to? Is it indeed around all the commitments of the Torah itself, and that's sort of the basis for God making us a treasured people, or is God, which God of course expects of us, or is it something different, or is it the ancient covenant with our ancestors that we have to reaffirm that? That's what God's saying. For us, generations later, ultimately, it's both, right? If we want to, we certainly want to feel the special nature of our relationship with God, as we'll be analyzing a little bit more about being God's segula, and it comes both from the earliest covenant with Avraham, and then the one that our parents created with God when we received the Torah itself, and our commitment to God, the Gadol, in a large way, and to the performance and carrying out of the Word of God and the commandment of God as well. Think about for yourself the sense of your covenantal bond with God, and indeed what that can produce for you in your own personal spiritual place to this very day. Wishing you a great day.